joining us and welcome back to the programme. If you've just joined us, then you might have missed the press conference. It was Rishi Sunak and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. There were many questions asked by journalists, both British and Ukrainian. It was a pretty lengthy event. If you've missed it, don't worry, because I have Cormac Smith with me, former communication advisor to the Foreign Minister of Ukraine. Cormac, thank you for waiting all this time to talk to us on the programme. Maybe you can simply sum up what was said in the press conference and then give some kind of view about the relations between the United Kingdom and Ukraine and what the conference revealed.
Thanks very much for having me on, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Look, there's three principal points I think I would take out of the press conference.
Yes.
The first one was, the Prime Minister did say that we probably should have been doing a lot of this stuff a long time ago.
Yes.
And I think that was an interesting admission. Having said that, I have got to say, and I've been saying this for a year, nobody has done more to support Ukraine than the United Kingdom, along with the United States. And my close friends who are Ukrainian diplomats, what they have consistently told me is the value of what the UK has done has not just been the weapons we have supplied, but it has been what we have done behind the scenes to encourage and marshal others to get on board and supply weapons as well. And I think that came out of the press conference today. The other point that I would take from President Zelensky, we must finally get over, and the West must finally get over this differentiation between defensive weapons and offensive weapons. So basically, the Ukrainians have been looking for 8 to 10 months now for 3 weapon systems, for battle tanks, for longer range artillery, and for fighter jets. Britain has played a huge role in unlocking the logjam with the battle tanks, with supplying the Challengers. We know that we are now, the alliance is starting to provide longer range artillery. The jets seems to be slightly more complex. And indeed, I would say there are certain things that the UK can do unilaterally that I think it's fair to say we have done. There are other things like fighter jets where the UK can clearly contribute significantly, but we need the other allies, like the Americans in particular, and the F-16s would be the main jet that is needed, where the Americans hold the export license for that in the same way as the Germans held the export license on the tanks. So we are getting there, but I've got to say we are getting there late in the day. And the point that President Zelensky made when he was asked what the result of this delay would be, he used the word stagnation. And unfortunately, a stagnated war plays into Russia's hands, because Russia, one, being nearly 4 times the size in terms of population of Ukraine, and 2, something President Zelensky made very, very clear, the Russians have a very different attitude to their own people than do the Ukrainians. Yes. Putin has no compunction whatsoever with feeding tens of thousands of his own people into a meat grinder. He's doing that at the moment around Bakhmut. So I've got to say, the final question you asked me, I think, was to sum up our relationship with Ukraine. Yes. Look, I talk to Ukrainian friends every day, yes, and there is no country that is more appreciated. And, as an Irishman, you can hear my hoarse accent at the moment. But, I'm very proud of the fact that, Britain has been to the forefront consistently. And I think the fact of this visit today, meeting the Prime Minister and also the King, is an awful lot more than symbolic. Because I'd like to say from the start, the UK has led with action, not symbolism. Yes. The symbolism from the UK has tended to come second. And that's, Vanessa, that's my honest summing up of it.
Cormac,
We've
heard that there is expected by Ukraine to be a big Russian military push imminently. I'm not quite sure when, and neither are they, but that it's down the road, not very far down the road and coming. At the moment, as it stands, will Ukraine be able, do you think, to withstand that Russian military might, that show of force?
I don't know. The Ukrainian military have surprised the world from the very start of this. And the sense I get from talking to people is that they will. It will be at a great cost. The Russian, Stalin had a view that quantity was its own quality. And again, we hear figures ranging from 200 up to 500,000 conscripts being trained to be fed into the meat grinder. Now, clearly, these soldiers will not be as well equipped, as well trained, or as well motivated or disciplined as their Ukrainian counterparts. But again, I'm not a military man, but listening to the military men as I do, I understand that the key to not only withstanding this attack, but actually pushing the Russians back and off Ukrainian soil, back to the 91 borders, is what the military men called combined arms operations. And that involves not only infantry with support armored vehicles, but main battle tanks, longer range artillery and aircraft. So there's those three elements that the Ukrainians need urgently. If I was to put my money on the Ukrainians, I'd say yes, they will hold off, but it will be at a great cost. And every day we delay getting them the heavy weapons they need, the cost in Ukrainian blood is going up and up. That's what I fear, Vanessa.
Cormac, thank you very much indeed. Express it very vividly indeed. Thank you. If you're wondering who Cormac Smith is, he's former communication advisor to the Foreign Minister of Ukraine.